Thank you for staying with us. We've often in this segment, our lifestyle segment, spoken about good stress and bad stress. But there's always stress. And today we're going to talk about chronic stress and the complications therefrom. So if you didn't watch those programs when we spoke about the different kinds of stress, here's your chance. But today we're going to be talking about chronic stress, and we have a stress management expert, an expert in stress management. Welcome, Tolu Taiwo. Good to see you again.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be back.
Good. So tell us, what causes stress?
Let me start by saying that stress in itself is not a disease. The best way to describe stress is it's more of a response. The way your body responds to different kinds of stimuli, both within and outside. So you respond in different ways to things around you. It could be, for instance, in the traffic. There's a way your body is going to respond. It might be something on your mind that bothers you. So you're responding. Maybe it's emotionally, psychologically, you're responding. It may be some physical thing around you. Maybe you've stressed, you've had some strenuous activities. So it's actually more of a response. So now, and again, stress is part of life. So you cannot avoid stress. So anybody who says to you, they pray for you to live a stress-free life, just run away.
Nothing like that.
Yes, unless the person is out of this life. So it's something we have to deal with every day. So we need to understand that. However, the problem is, like you said about good and bad stress, there is good stress because you need some amount of stress every day in your body to live optimally. You need some physical stress to exercise your muscles. You need some mental stress to think and make your brain function the way it should. You need some kind of good stress. However, when the stress becomes, like you said, maybe chronic, it extends for too long without a break, then it becomes the bad stress.
Okay. So, two different people can react to a certain situation differently. So what stresses me may not stress her. Is that correct?
Exactly.
So you cannot say XYZ cause stress, because the XYZ that causes me the ultimate stress may not even, she won't even notice.
Yes, because for instance, now let's take a good example. You have some socio-economic stress now in Nigeria, but it's not only Nigeria, funny enough, it's all over the world. Everywhere there is inflation and all that. So, but then one person can say, yes, this is the reality, and I will not let this thing cause me too much trouble. I will deal with it. Another person can say, and start saying negative things about the country. This. Some people have believed that, no, nothing good can come out of the environment. And with that, you only get yourself more worried, more anxious,
more stressed.
And then the effect will be there.
Chronic stress.
Chronic stress, yes.
Now, how does one deal with chronic stress? Does stress get diagnosed to start with?
Okay, so I said earlier, it's not a disease condition, but interestingly, stress has been found to be the underlying factor for about 70% of why people visit the hospital.
Hypertension.
Hypertension, yes. Thinking about, which can lead to stroke, of course. Depression, which will lead to suicide. Even some kinds of ulcer and all that. So because I heard the previous speaker talk about hypertension, that it's a silent killer. So stress can actually trigger things like that. What happens is, for instance, you're stressed, you're worried, so you don't calm yourself down. Maybe you don't get enough sleep as well. So at a point, your blood pressure may rise. Now, that may be an acute thing. But when you keep doing that without putting measures in place to reverse those things, then it can lead to hypertension, which can now become chronic.
How does one know that one is stressed?
Okay, yes. So there are certain symptoms which are not peculiar to stress. For instance, you may feel tired, you may feel weak, you may feel pains in your body, you may feel a headache, you may feel sometimes maybe even slightly feverish, you may just feel down. So they are more or less what we call constitutional symptoms, things that happen generally. So at some point, you may realize that, oh, maybe I need to rest. But then maybe for some reason, or maybe you have some target you're chasing, you now feel, no, I'm not resting, I can't rest. Then you keep pushing. Maybe at the time when you should sleep is when somebody will decide to take coffee, for instance, to stay awake. So your body is giving you signs that it's time to just chill, take a break, but you say no, and then you keep moving. So those are some of the signs.
Let me give you my own sign when I'm stressed.
Okay.
When I'm stressed, sometimes I want to eat more.
Okay.
Sometimes I want to eat less. So it depends on, but for some other people, what could it be?
For other people, the things I've mentioned already, that you feel in your body, the tiredness,
not even about the tiredness that you mentioned.
Okay.
I'm talking about in terms of some odd things that, because I feel it's odd.
You may just feel, how will I say, listless. You may just feel tired of everything. You may just feel like, some borderline depressive kind of symptoms, that not full depression, but you just may not feel up to it. You just feel like you don't want to just go on. So that's like the psychological and emotional part of it. You may feel anxious. So those are. So
that means the stress would have been there for a certain number of days, months, or particular time.
Yes, it might not even be months. It could be days or weeks, because the thing is, it's a lifestyle thing. So if you don't have a proper lifestyle, it will affect you. An example is sleep. We recommend you sleep 6 to 8 hours a day. So if, for instance, you don't sleep well for even 2-3 days, maybe you're sleeping like 4 hours a day, by the third day you feel groggy, you feel tired. In fact, you might start forgetting things, because one of the things that good sleep does is it restores your memory. So if you do that, say for like a week, you can be really stressed, and then you're still going to work, you're running around, and you're not sleeping well. So it's not a matter of so much of the long time. It might be a few days, it might be weeks, and then it's the effect more or less, and then intensity of what you're doing that is bringing the stress.
So how is stress managed?
Okay, stress is managed basically by lifestyle modification. So the first step is, it's you knowing you have to make a change. It's you knowing that you are 100% responsible for your health and for your well-being. It's not you blaming other things. Oh, somebody might blame their work. Oh, my boss is always stressing me. This and that. Or maybe it's your spouse that is always stressing you, or maybe it's your parents, or whatever it is. It's you. It's the decisions you make that will determine what your health will be like. So when you understand that you are 100% responsible, then you will stop the excuses and then you make the adjustments. So for instance, if you think it's your work, then you sit down and factor out the issues involved. Maybe it's the distance. Maybe, for instance, you're living on the mainland and you're walking somewhere on the island that is really far. And then, so you have to decide. That's a lifestyle thing. It's either you move closer to your work, or you move your work closer to home. So you reduce the travel time and the hours you spend in the traffic, because it's usually a ripple effect. Because you are going far, you wake up earlier.
Yeah.
You will sleep later.
Because you get home late.
So you're getting less sleep. You're working more. That time in the traffic too actually adds to the stress. People don't realize that.
It is the work itself that is stressing you, not the journey to fro.
Yeah, so yes, so I was taking it in stages.
Okay.
So that's one side of it. So you deal with that. Then you look at the work. Okay, maybe you are working long hours, for instance. So what can you do about that? Or maybe the work environment is toxic, for instance. So you might have to sit down and say, okay, I think this is it. It might involve having to change your job, for instance. Now, maybe that cannot happen immediately because you need the money. But you can make plans. And say, okay, I want to change my job. So you can work on a plan. Maybe in another 3-6 months, something can change. So those are
while
things,
waiting for that plan, what can such a person do, at least to try and be able to hold on and say, how would such a person manage the stress level?
Okay, yes. So one of these steps is a part of resting. I've said 6 to 8 hours of sleep. So do your best to try and get that done as often as you can. Also, try to relax. It's not just sleep alone too. Try and relax. Okay. You are anywhere you are, try and always be calm. Calm your mind down, because one of the things that raises the blood pressure.
Be calming down.
Yes, be calming down. One of the things that raises BP is the anxiety and all that. So always try and be calm. Don't get angry easily. So your internal environment is very important. Those are things that you will not know it, but your blood pressure is rising, and then you keep doing that, and then it keeps going up. So you have to calm yourself down.
Okay, so if you say, she mentioned earlier that sometimes what could stress A, even though A and B, they are in the same situation, may not stress B. So what could account for the fact that this B is stressed by the circumstances that is not making A stressed? And two, is there at any point that a person that is so stressed may need medical attention?
Yes. One, people are different. So the mindset, the way they have lived their lives growing up, the way they think can affect how one person responds to one thing as opposed to the other. So people are different. Somebody has been used to anything happens, they want to just get up and react. Sometimes maybe they just feel they need to make a point. Some people that they take joy in, I don't know, maybe we'll call it shaking tables. So they always want to make a point, and with that, they are usually maybe aggressive and all that. So it's the personality thing. So those are things that you can change with a lifestyle modification. When you tell yourself that, look, I need to be calming down, so I need to work on myself. It's more of a personality and a mindset thing. Yes, there may be a need for medication. If you get to a point, for instance, that your blood pressure has become high and it's been checked several times, 3-4 times is still high, then you may need some medications. Now, the duration of that will depend on the response of your body. If you're giving medications for your BP and it comes down, and then you can now continue with the lifestyle thing and it works. If not, you may be on medications for a while. So if there are other issues too that come up with time and then they need to be treated, they will be treated.
What about people who try to distress by taking alcohol, or, how do you view that?
Okay, so alcohol is not a tool to distress.
But you have heard it before. Some people say, oh, it's Friday, I've been stressed since Monday. Then,
it's just like the people who want to eat sometimes when they feel a bit down and they say, oh, and they go eating more. So it's not the way to, yes, sometimes you relax, might take a little alcohol, but then a little, but not even for distressing, like you said, not to reduce stress, because alcohol also has some side effects which are negative on the body, and then taking too much of it can cause more problems for you. So alcohol is not the way to deal with stress. If you're really stressed, you can relax, you can go find someone to talk to, or maybe you talk to an expert. Maybe here we're not so used to it in some parts of the world. Psychologists, or they call them shrinks. they make a lot of money because people are always going there to just go talk to them. And with that, actually, you're onboarding yourself. They encourage you, you come out, and you feel more refreshed.
You say you're going to see a shrink
here.
They'll say that you are mad.
So,
what's Yawiri?
One of the
needs a therapist.
Yes. One other step to that, in managing stress, we talked about sleep and rest, for instance. Exercise, interestingly, is a good way to also manage stress, because what exercise does for you is, one, it helps you to build stamina physically. So your body is stronger. So when you go through your activities during the day, it helps. During exercise also, some hormones are released that actually help your mind to relax. We call them endorphins. They have a feel-good factor. They make you feel better, feel more positive. Exercise also works for the heart. The heart is a muscle. So when you exercise, it helps the heart to pump blood around the body more effectively. And that also helps in controlling your BP, your blood pressure. So there are many benefits of exercise. It's also good for your immune system, generally speaking. So exercise is also a good way to help to manage stress. Then also for exercise, when you are stressed, there are some hormones that are released. We call them stress hormones. Things like cortisol, for instance, adrenaline as well. So they increase during stress. Now, they will remain in the blood at a high level for a while. One way to mop them up is when you exercise. Exercise helps to, reduce their levels in the blood.
Yeah, exercise is always good, and
Very
of course, speaking to your doctor before engaging in exercises. Let's go back to sleep. You said between 6 and 8 hours.
Yes.
I guess for adults or for...
Well, for adults, yes. For children, maybe a bit higher, maybe like 8-9 hours, for children that are less than, maybe between 5 to 10 years or 13 years. But adults, yes, 6 to 8 hours.
So if a person is not able to get that 6-8 hours at a stretch, is there a way we can manage it?
Yes, the stretch is the ideal thing, and especially at night. But if you can't, sometimes during the day you may take a nap. There's something we call the cat nap or the power nap. If you notice that sometimes, maybe in the afternoon, especially after lunch, if you sit down and maybe you're not active physically, you notice that you may feel sleepy. So that's your body actually telling you that, hey, you need some rest. So it's advised that you can just take a nap right there. It will be 20 minutes, 30 minutes. And when you do that, you feel refreshed. If you've ever experienced that, it makes you feel refreshed. So it was that rest you didn't get. You're getting some of it. And then you can continue your work. There are some organizations that actually allow that. I know some places outside the country where they even put maybe beds or couches in the workplace so that people can come rest and then continue their work, and it makes them productive. So you can catch up on your sleep maybe during the day and all that if you don't get everything at night.
I don't know if you saw the video that was making the rounds a short while ago about napping and how napping can extend your life.
Okay.
That napping is very good for you.
Yes, I didn't see that video, but yes, it's correct. I remember when we were in school, in those days, in boarding schools.
Siesta was mandatory.
There was in the boarding schools. So we didn't understand why then, but they made it, and I think it must have helped us. So yes, it's good to you can have a short nap, during the day.
So when does stress move from being normal to being chronic?
Yes. Although to be honest, that term chronic, one cannot be rigid with it, because like I said, stress is with you every day. So ideally, stress is more or less chronic. Maybe what we're saying is when it's severe, more like,
okay.
So maybe when you're really feeling when you are fatigued physically, for instance. When
you can be fatigued, normally, maybe because I've gone out and come back,
Yes,
I
you are.
can be.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's stress.
And once I just sit down or relax, I should be fine. But when it continues and I'm not feeling okay, I think that's what she's trying to say.
Yes, that's what we're saying. You're feeling tired. Ideally, you should rest. You sit down, maybe 30 minutes, you relax, you're fine. But probably you don't do that. And then you keep doing that for some days because, for instance, you're at work and you have to get your work done and all that. So you're not resting well for days. And it comes to a point where you can actually have a burnout. As in, you are now so fatigued that you can't move around the way you used to. You're feeling pains all over your body. At that point, you probably will need medications. So maybe your mind, you're all anxious and all that. So there's no real margin to determine, but it's what you will feel in your body that my body is not the way it should be. I'm really feeling it. I'm really fatigued and tired, and even mentally sometimes you may realize that you have a bit of a mental block. So you need to just slow down.
So we're told that next to losing a loved one in death, the next most stressful thing for the human being is moving house.
I don't know how close they are, but moving houses can be task.
Next to that. So you move house and it takes you, same thing for if you lose a loved one. It's not something that you get over in a day or 2 days or 3 days or a week. So your stress certainly becomes chronic in those two circumstances. Because when you move house as well, you're not going to finish, finish decorating that new place in 2 days, 3 days, 4 days. It goes on for weeks. And in all those weeks, you are stressed until you get the place to the T that you want it to be. So that is chronic.
Well, that is chronic.
With capital letters.
These definitions.
Okay, you want us to drop it?
No. Well,
it is severe, not chronic.
The most basic definitions are like the good stress, the bad stress.
Okay.
So I think those are more straightforward because chronic is a bit, I don't know. Chronic is something in medicine, something that goes on for a long time. So if you're stressed every single day, in a way, it's chronic already. So sometimes what we will do in medicine is we'll call it acute or chronic. That there's a new acute phase that actually even comes with some more severity than the normal everyday thing. So we could say maybe it's more of acute or chronic. So when that happens, what you can do is pace yourself. Okay, you're moving house. Stop
calming down.
Calm down. Plan yourself. Know that you're not going to arrange everything in one day. So what you do is, in phases, which one is most important? Probably your bedroom.
The kitchen and the bedroom.
Kitchen. You start there. Arrange them. Take maybe another day. You might even do it weekends. When you're free, then you arrange your room. Then you come back again, the living room. Take it bit by bit. If you can do, or maybe you can do 30 minutes or 1 hour a day, just be pacing yourself. Don't try and do it all at once. So that's one of the things that you can do.
So basically take life one step after the other.
At a time. And be calming down.
Be calming down.
Dr. Tolutaiwo, stress management expert. Thank you very much for coming to talk to us this morning.
You're welcome.
Right, people, it's that time, my favorite time on Sunrise, the home stretch when we come back.